You are not lazy, your inner energy is divided and scattered. This is not reassurance, it is a statement of mechanics. Energy is not a quantity problem. People think, I don't have enough energy, I need to recharge, I need motivation. This is false. Human beings generate enormous energy every day. What they lack is coherence. Energy does not disappear, it leaks. What divided actually means? Division occurs the moment there is choice without clarity. You want progress and comfort, success and safety, silence and stimulation, truth and approval. Each desire pulls in a different direction. Energy cannot serve multiple masters, so it fragments. What scattered actually means? Scattered energy is energy that is always anticipating, is constantly evaluating, is watching itself act, is imagining outcomes. It never arrives fully here. The body is in one place, the mind is in 10. That scattering produces fatigue without labor. What action feels heavy? Action feels heavy not because it is difficult, but because resistance precedes it. Before a single step, you measure, you doubt, you compare, you protect identity. This pre action tension drains more energy than the action itself. That is why you are tired before you begin. Why rest doesn't fix it. You rest, you sleep, you take breaks, and still avoidance remains. Hesitation returns. Effort feels forced. Because rest restores fuel, not alignment. A divided engine does not move just because the tank is full. Why discipline fails long term? Discipline attempts to override division. It works briefly, then collapses. Why? Because forcing movement while divided increases internal resistance. Eventually, the system rebels, not due to weakness, due to incoherence. What undivided energy looks like? When energy is undivided, there is no internal debate, no self observation, no image management, no outcome fixation. Action occurs without commentary. This is often mistaken for talent or willpower. It is neither. It is absence of contradiction. The central correction. Laziness is not a trait, it is a symptom of fragmentation. When fragmentation ends, energy naturally organizes itself. Movement follows. Silence deepens. Effort disappears. When energy is one, action is inevitable. When energy is divided, stillness feels like failure. The problem was never laziness, it was division pretending to be exhaustion. Nothing else needs to be added. Energy is not a quantity problem. The belief I don't have enough energy is born from misinterpretation. You wake up tired, you delay, you avoid, you conclude low energy. In reality, the body is producing vast energy, metabolic energy, neural energy, emotional energy, attentional energy. Nothing is missing. What is missing is direction without contradiction. Why recharging never solves it? Rest replenishes capacity, not coherence. You can sleep 8 hours and still feel exhausted. Why? Because exhaustion is not depletion, it is internal drag. Drag is created when energy is forced to move while being pulled in opposing directions. No amount of rest resolves drag. Why motivation feels necessary? Motivation is only needed when energy resists itself. When energy is unified, action is spontaneous. When energy is divided, action requires external pressure. Motivation is a crutch for incoherence. What energy leaks actually means? Energy leaks through rumination, anticipation, comparison, self monitoring, future simulation. None of these create movement, all of them consume energy. This is not thinking, it is friction disguised as intelligence. You feel busy, you feel tired, nothing moves. What choice without clarity means? Choice is not freedom. Choice without clarity is conflict. Clarity collapses choice. Conflict multiplies it. When clarity is absent, every action must be negotiated. Every step is reversible. Every commitment feels dangerous. Energy hesitates. Hesitation is leakage. Why opposing desires fragment energy? Take one pair, progress and comfort. Progress demands exposure. Comfort demands protection. Both cannot be honored simultaneously. So energy oscillates. Move forward to pull back. Commit to escape. Begin to distract. That oscillation burns energy without producing motion. multiply this across life. When energy cannot serve multiple masters, energy is singular by nature. It moves like water, one direction, one slope, one gravity. When commanded in opposite directions, it does not split cleanly, it turbulates. Turbulence feels like anxiety, fatigue, restlessness, procrastination. The person names this laziness. It is not. Why fragmentation feels like exhaustion? Fragmentation creates constant microtension. You are always holding back, leaning forward, bracing, calculating. That tension is continuous. Continuous tension is exhaustion, not physical, existential. Energy does not need to be increased, it needs to be allowed to align. Alignment removes resistance. Resistance removal restores flow. Nothing else is required. What you call low energy is energy trapped in contradiction. Resolve contradiction, and energy reveals itself as it always was, abundant, silent, and ready. You are not lazy, your inner energy is divided and scattered. This means there is no lack of energy in you, there is no defect in your willpower, there is no discipline problem. What you call laziness is actually energy that is pulled in multiple directions at the same time. What energy is? Energy is attention plus intention. When your energy is one pointed, action happens without effort. When your energy is divided, even simple action feels heavy. Laziness is not absence, it is conflict. How inner energy becomes divided? Your energy splits the moment there is internal negotiation. Examples: I should work, but what if I fail? I want money, but I don't want pressure. I want silence, but I also want stimulation. I want discipline, but I want comfort. Each but creates a fault line. Now energy is no longer flowing. It is arguing with itself. That argument is what exhausts you. Why scattered energy feels like laziness? When energy is divided, you feel tired without doing anything. You overthink simple tasks. You delay not because you don't care, but because moving forward means choosing. You escape into distractions, not for pleasure, but for relief from inner friction. So you sit still, externally inactive, internally at war. You label this laziness. It is not. It is paralysis from division. Why motivation never works? Motivation tries to push divided energy, but pushing doesn't unite. It only increases tension. That's why you feel motivated for 2-3 days, then collapse, then feel guilty, then repeat. The division was never resolved. What undivided energy looks like? When energy is undivided, there is no commentary, no self-image to protect, no future outcome being negotiated, no internal audience. Action happens the way breathing happens. Not because you are strong, but because nothing is resisting. So you don't need more discipline. You don't need more planning. You don't need to push yourself. You need clarity so deep that division dissolves. When there is clarity, energy stops leaking. Effort disappears. Silence appears. Work becomes inevitable. Not heroic, not dramatic, just natural. So, laziness is a word invented by confused people to describe the sensation of inner conflict. When conflict ends, so does laziness. Nothing else is required. Why the word laziness exists at all? The word laziness exists because people feel stuck but do not know why. They observe inaction, delay, fatigue, avoidance. They assume absence of effort is the cause. It is not. What they are feeling is simultaneous opposing impulses. That sensation has no common language, so they call it laziness. What inner conflict actually is? Inner conflict is two or more directions pulling on the same energy. One part of you says, move. Another says, protect. Another says, be comfortable. Another says, be admired. Another says, avoid pain. Each demand is reasonable. Together, they are irreconcilable. Energy cannot move in opposite directions, so it freezes. That freeze is mislabeled as laziness. Why effort feels heavy during conflict? When there is no conflict, action is light, time disappears. Effort feels effortless. When there is conflict, each step requires justification. You bargain with yourself. You feel drained before you begin. The drain does not come from work, it comes from internal resistance. Trying to act while divided is like driving with the handbrake on. Why shame enters the picture? Because society has no language for inner conflict. It moralizes the symptom. You are lazy, you lack discipline, you don't want it badly enough. This adds identity level tension on top of the conflict. Now, you are not just divided, you are judging yourself for being divided. Energy fragments further. Why distraction becomes addictive? Distraction is not indulgence, it is pain relief. When you scroll, eat, watch, or fantasize, you are not chasing pleasure. You are escaping the unbearable sensation of contradiction inside. Stillness forces you to feel division. Distraction numbs it. So the mind chooses distraction and call itself lazy afterward. Why forcing discipline fails? Discipline imposed on conflict creates compliance, not alignment. You can force action temporarily, deadlines, fear, accountability, external pressure, but the conflict remains. Eventually, burnout, collapse, resentment, self sabotage, not because you are weak, because energy cannot be bullied into unity. What ends laziness permanently? Not motivation, not habits, not systems, only one thing: the end of inner contradiction. When you stop wanting success and safety, growth and comfort, silence and stimulation, truth and approval, energy unifies. When energy is unified, movement is inevitable. People are not lazy, they are divided, and division feels like exhaustion. When division ends, so does the word laziness. Nothing else needs to be fixed. So, you were never lacking energy, you were fighting yourself. What you called laziness was not absence of force, but force pulling against itself. Energy does not disappear, it becomes noisy when divided, heavy when conflicted, and exhausting when scattered. Rest does not fix this, motivation does not fix this, discipline does not fix this, only clarity does. Clarity ends negotiation. When negotiation ends, resistance ends. When resistance ends, energy moves on its own. Action then is not effort. Stillness is not failure. Silence is not avoidance. When energy is one, life moves without friction. When energy is divided, even stillness feels tiring. There is nothing to improve, only something to stop doing. Stop pulling in opposite directions. The moment you do, what you were calling laziness disappears. Not because you changed, but because the conflict ended.